What's up everyone? Thank you for joining me for another video. So today we are creating a half garland look going up onto the ceiling a little bit. The colors are going to be hot pink inside of white with orange inside of white. The sizes we are using today are 11 inch, 24 inch, 36 inch, and we're using assorted sizes of orbs in the Japanese AQUA BOBO bubbles. And I also have the CRICUT butterfly video, so if you're looking for a template on the CRICUT butterflies or how to make them, check out that video also. So let's get started. Alright guys, so here we are, we're inflating our 11 inches mixed with the pink and the orange because that's the style. We're inflating 2 at a time, tying only the inside necks. So you can tie both necks, the outside and the inside necks, but save your fingers. You can only tie the inside necks of them. Once they're all inflated and tied, we are going to start twisting them together. So I'm going to take 2 pairs and I'm going to twist them at the center. 2 twists is more than enough, and now we have a quad, and that means just 2 pairs twisted together or 4 balloons. Once you have 2 quads, you're going to take the centers with one hand, and with your other hand you're going to reach and wrap around and try to twist 2 balloons out of the 2 separate quads. So once you have them in one hand, you're going to take your other hand and start twisting. Again, 2 twists is more than enough, and this is what it looks like in the middle. Each cluster has 4 pairs or 8 balloons in total. You can keep some totally orange. I would add some pink if you're going for the scatter look. Try to have at least 2 pink in there or at least 2 orange. Again, your centers, when you're done your clusters, are going to have a lot of ends to pull from. You're just going to select one of those 2 ends from each cluster and tie together. So that's all we're doing. We're just pulling the inside necks of the clusters and tying the clusters to each other. So when you tie the clusters, this is what you should see. You should see a little knot on the inside, and it should be immensely tight. This step, everybody says, is very difficult, and it's true. I make it look easy because it's kind of like playing guitar. If you have the calluses on your fingers, then it's very easy to tie, but some people it takes up to 5 minutes to even tie 2 clusters together, and some find that their hands get tired. So I would say this method is definitely for the intermediate or at least a little experienced with balloons, because you do need some finger strength for this. But as you can see, it works very sturdily. It holds everything together very, very quickly. And once you're done a fair amount of the string, blow up one of your 3-foots. Put it up to your string and just find a place to tie in. So when I try to tie in my 3-foots, I'm only tying the inside necks of them. I'm going to find a little spot I like. I'm going to pull out a neck from the inside cluster, and then I'm just going to directly tie onto that neck. So I'm going to take that inside 11-inch pink balloon, and I'm going to tie my 36-inch 3-foot right directly in there. So you can use different things. You can tape them in. I've seen people tape in 3-foots. You can use 260s. You can use glue dots at the end of the day. This is just my technique of how you can tie in these 3-foots directly into your garland. I find it works just as well, and it holds more securely. So this is just my quick way of tying in my 3-foots into my string line of 11-inch clusters. So once I'm done that, I'm going to inflate another 24-inch and do the exact same thing. Only take the inside neck of the balloons and tie them directly into the cluster. So what I have going here is I have a cluster of 11 inches. I have one 3-foot on there tied in, and I have another 24-inch tied in. And when it's tied in, it looks like that. So everything is immensely tight. You should be able to not pull your garland apart. And if you can do that, that's probably not tight enough, and you should work on getting your clusters closer. So this is the backdrop. This is what we're working with here. I didn't really know what to do with that, but at the end of the day, I didn't really mind it. Now that the backdrop was there, we need to attach our attach points. So here's some fishing line, 20 pound. I'm doing a double knot, so loop it once, loop it twice, and pull. It's like a regular knot, but you put it through the loop twice. So I'm going to do that in the middle, at the top, at the bottom of the backdrop. The fishing line no one can really see, and either way the balloons are going to go on top, so it doesn't really matter. Again, double knot it, once over, twice over, and pull. I always use double knots for fishing line because fishing line 1 knot will most likely not hold anything for you because fishing line is very slippery in that way. So bring your piece over with the 3-foot and the 24-inch and just attach it on. So I just weaved it through and just double tied. Here I triple tied, but really double tying is more than enough. Triple tying is just if you want to be immensely secure, I guess. So once you've tied it on, the piece holds on immensely well because it's already sturdy enough. Now what the job is to shape it, because half the job is inflating and putting it up, but it will never look like what you want it to look like. So the next part of the job is truly shaping your garland. Now that we have half of it up there, I'm attaching 2 other clusters that I've inflated. So you can either go the whole route where you inflate the whole length, or you can build as you go. I personally like to build as I go because it just gives me a bit more freedom to decide how big of pieces I want. And here I know I want another 3 foot there because we're getting to the bottom. We're trying to make it a bit fuller. And your 3 foots, again, my little point here, always to the sides, never right in front of the face of the garland, not pointing directly at you, either above the garland or on the side of the garland, but never directly above. So now that I've extended the piece in length, I need to secure it. So I'm lassoing some fishing line across, again, my 20-pound fishing line. You can use fishing line that's less, like 10-pound or 15-pound, but I find that it cuts through the balloons. So once I've attached it to the backdrop, that's what it looks like. This is 3 clusters that I'm taking here, and look at this. This is the real game changer, I find. I didn't do anything, but visually, I just placed it in front of that 3 foot. I propped up almost to the floor, but not directly on the floor. I never put 3 foots up, you know, mid-tier directly on the floor because it makes the garland drop down. If you put it a little bit above the floor and then wrap that string of clusters in front of it, it will make the garland look fuller. It will also make the bottom look fluffier and like it's coming out instead of having it just kind of come down to the floor, like it's coming out and from the backdrop. So here, the 24-inch, if you have a 3 foot on one side, you always want to make sure it's balanced. So you don't want all your 3 foots on one side, and you don't want all of your, you know, small balloons on the inside and big balloons on the outside. That can be a look for sure, but I generally find when you're starting off, just try to make things even. If you put, let's say, 2 on the left, try to at least put 1 on the right, or vice versa. So I'm adding in another string of clusters, again, to create that visual effect of fullness. So you only do that with 11 inches, 2 to 3 clusters in the front, and you're good. Now that the bottom is more or less done, we need to work on the top. So same technique, you inflate your cluster, you get your 3 foot, you go around, create your little tight T before you tie, and then you just tie directly into the cluster. So again, we're tying our 3 foots directly in. Give yourself a lot of slack so it's easier on the fingers, and that's what you should have. That's what it looks like on the inside when you tie your big guys in. So that's that cluster. I'm quickly filling this cluster up even bigger because I want this to be the top piece. So I'm going to take my 24-inch and I'm going to directly tie it in. Just like that, I'm going to pick a neck, the loosest neck that I can find, and tie it directly into my cluster. And that's what it looks like when it's tied in. So it already holds very sturdily, but since it's at the top and I know that I'm not going to be able to reach it, I need to put all my accent points on there right now. So I'm working on this orb. I inflate the orb. You want to do machine and then finish off with a hand pump and then put some gaff tape on it. I'm going to show you guys how to do it with the 260, but this is definitely an option with the gaff tape. It's very, very easy. You just pick a spot where you want to do it, and just like regular tape, you just tape it in. So push it as much as you can into the garland, push your hand down, and just tape it in like you would regular tape. It holds miraculously, so that's pretty amazing. The bubble, I'm not even going to tape in. I'm just going to tie right in. So this Japanese AQUA bubble, I'm just going to take and I'm just going to tie it right in. So these bubbles, they're very durable. This is not the Deco bubble. This is the Japanese BOBO, AQUA BOBO bubble. So once I'm done that piece, I'm just going to take a 260 and lasso it into the giant cluster that I just created, this little monstrosity. And this is going to be my top accent piece. So once I lassoed it in, you want to tie it off the 260. And the 260 is there not really for securement, just for me. If you're one person, it's going to be hard to be like, maybe I want it here. And the 260 is there for you to be able to attach where you want it, like this. It's not secured, it's just movable. So you want to be able to stand on a chair and not have to like run around and make sure to put it down and look at it and pick it up again. So you want to attach it just a bit. Once you have it in the, don't cut off the fishing line. Take the other end of the fishing line, and if you have the bar available, throw it over the bar. If you don't, cut the fishing line off and use click magnets and to attach to the ceiling. But in this case, we already had a rig point on the ceiling, so we just needed to hook and throw it over to make it easier for ourselves. So that's what we did. Once it's hooked over, Angelita is holding down the fishing line while I'm stepping back and saying, you know what, I want it a little more to the left, a little more to the right. And that's what I'm doing. I'm managing how the shape of that top piece is going to look right now while Angelita's holding that back part. So it's not tied in. Right now, it's still all movable, and that's what we want. Ideally, if you're working alone, you'd have to loosely tie that fishing line to the backdrop, work back, step back, rearrange it so you wouldn't have an Angelita to hold that fishing line there. So when you're alone, of course, these types of half ceiling installs are immensely difficult to do because there's honestly almost no way to do it alone. So you're very lucky to have someone there on site to at least help you with this whole shaping process. Before I finished the shaping process, I figured it would be easier for me to finish it if I had another 3 foot on top there, because I found that's what it was missing. So once I added that in, I continued the shaping. And people say, how long does it take you? How long? You know, I've never done a garland that looks exactly the same way because every single one has a different dimension, a different kind of color palette to it. So I style them differently. So honestly, it could take 5 minutes. It could take sometimes 20 minutes to get the right shape and style for the garland, especially if you're going for something unique and elaborate like a half ceiling, half garland look. So once you're happy with it, just attach it into the backdrop and double tie. Now for the details, we're using these Japanese AQUA BOBO bubbles. These guys come in multitudes of sizes. They come in 4 different sizes. The smallest one is about $1 Canadian, which is 2.5 inches. The 5 inches is $2. And then I believe these 18 inches are $6 and onward. So they come in packs of 10. Currently, Bargain Balloons is the only supplier I know of. All links in the description for the materials I used. So these bubbles, you just need to inflate them, take the coating plastic off as you're inflating, and just tie to itself. They are very, very easy to tie, much easier than even regular balloons. So I've inflated just 10 of each of those sizes, and that was it. I just tied to themselves. So now on to flowers. Flowers, I'm using these wavy spray stems as well as some feathers. So the trick here is to stagger your feathers. So the bottom of the feathers, keep one a bit higher, one in the middle, and one a bit lower. And then once you're done, you want to take your 260 and you want to wrap it around the stems of all of the florals together. So take the 260, wrap it around 3 or 4 times, and then tie it off to itself. So this is really up to you how many stems you want to include in each little floral bunch. I personally don't include less than 5 stems because I feel like it looks a little shabby, or it looks a little thin, I would say. So include at least 5 pieces. And once you have that, my little tip here is the ends are very sharp. It's very hard to poke through. So what you want to do is choose the place where you want it, find where you want to put it in, and then bend at the stem where you want the flowers to come out of your garland. That way, all of your ends are pointing down into the center rather than out into the side, out into like a big balloon. And they're pointing down away from all the necks of the balloons. And this gives me the ability to then step back and then start stylizing it. Now, before I start styling, I want to add a mini BOBO balloon to it. So what you do is you can even go around the stem of a flower like I'm doing here and attach this balloon because it's see-through. And once the neck's cut off, you can't really see what it's even tied to, and you'll see what I mean when we step back. So here you go, you tie to that stem, position it back into place, maybe wrap a flower around it or something, push it back, and you'll see what the final product looks like. So I'm going to take this orb and I'm going to put it directly near that little bubble I just put. Gaff tapes this orb, push it down with my finger. The heat of your finger adheres the balloon onto the other latex, and that's what that little detail looks like. What a difference, right? I mean, from what we had before to what we're working with now, just a world of a difference. So now I'm going to take a bigger BOBO balloon. This is the 18-inch, and as you can see, it's kind of nice to see through the clearness how you really tie it. There's very, very little you're working with. You see how very little of maybe 1.5 inch that I'm working with here. And then you just have to tie it off. Does it damage the balloon? No, it doesn't. These balloons are very, very durable, and they create such a beautiful sparkle. And once I find a place other than Bargain Balloons that sells them in Amazon, I'm going to link you guys. But right now, these are my best bets for finding them. I'm going to continue inflating the orbs. So here I'm only using the 18-inch orbs, quote unquote 18-inch. They're really 16-inch. And this orb I'm going to tie in with a 260. So before you saw me use the gaff tape, don't go beyond the valve line. Tie up your 260. And this is the same thing as using the gaff tape. It's just a different technique. Some people prefer this. Some people prefer glue dots. Some people prefer gaff tape. You can't please everyone, but I can show you all the ways. So the 260 that you're tying on here, you're going to go, again, reach into a neck of a cluster center and just tie the 260 directly in there. Once it's tied in, you have the freedom to move around your orb if you don't like directly where you placed it the first time. These little balloons, inflate them all the way. Please, guys, if there are wrinkles on your orbs, it means that the orb is not fully inflated. I know it's scary when you say, you know, there are some wrinkles and it popped on me and all the wrinkles weren't gone. I know, I believe it. Out of all the orbs you get, you're probably going to pop half of the ones you get. That's just the sad truth with how expensive they are. That's still the sad truth. So I would say I like to use gaff tape because sometimes the 260, some people go too far, break the valve. So the gaff tape is just a very non-invasive way to secure an orb onto the garland. And just look at the appearance of the garland. I mean, it's just changing right in front of you. These little accent pieces that, you know, take so much extra time and so much planning and effort. That's really what creates the look of the garland and what takes it from just doing balloons on some, you know, balloon string to making it a luxurious look that people would pay $700 and up for. So here, same technique, we're trying to manage the heights. The toppest feather has to be at the top spray floral, and then you want to keep moving down. So your second floral needs to be a bit lower. The third floral matches the second floral. And then maybe we attach another spray because you can layer them. You don't have to do florals in the back, feathers in the front. You can always layer as well. It creates depth, dimension. It also creates a focal point for you to look at as opposed to just the orbs or the bubbles on the garland. So again, once you have your thicker branch here, you want to tie in your 260 and fan them out. No matter how many flowers you put up there, if you do not fan out your flowers, no one will be able to see the beauty of them. So again, all of this work, and I hope you guys check out that next video that I have talking about this exact garland, about pricing and all about the details of creating it, because I also give away how I price my time for this, because everything that we're doing here, it also took me time to plan behind the scenes with even going to the supplier to get the flowers or picking out how the feathers will look with certain things. So this stuff all takes a lot of time. It's not just add to cart and then inflate day of. So these are the small details. When I'm adding, I already know for a garland this size, I'm going to need 5 floral points. So 5 floral points, 5 stems. I need 25 spray stems. I'm going to need 15 feathers, things like that. So that's what we're going to go over in the pricing video. It's going to be linked at the very end. So to finish this garland off, I would say shape-wise, it's there. How I look at a garland is, are most sizes of balloons used? Meaning, is it only like a 5-inch and 11-inch garland? No, we have 11-inch, we have the 24-inch, we have 16-inch orbs, 10-inch orbs. We have a lot of sizes that make it appealing to look at. So that's good. Colors. All the colors are double stuffed. And again, the orbs are nice and metallic. They're not the cheap kind. So again, that's a win there. So it makes it visually appealing. Are there details? And that's a yes, because we have orbs. We've got the Japanese bubbles again. We have the flowers. So shape, yes. Colors, yes. Accents, yes. Now, overall appeal, overall look. How does it look with the room? Is it placed in the right place? Are the props looking nice around it? I would say yes. We're not fully done with these props here, but I would say even at this stage, definitely yes. So things like, small things like that accent the garland, some people find even unnecessary, but I would say it just puts the whole look together. Now, when you're done detailing the look, I always like to take an extra 260, lasso it through the middle, and tie it to the back of the backdrop. But that's only because it's so heavy when you put the florals in. The flowers are very, very heavy. So when you put flowers in, you always want to double secure those top parts of your garland to make sure that even when someone brushes up against it or walks behind the backdrop, it's nice and sturdy and it won't move or drop anything. So now that I'm done the flowers, the orbs, and the BOBO aqua bubbles, I'm going to move on to these CRICUT butterflies. If you haven't checked out the video or you want the template for this exact butterfly stencil, check out the CRICUT video I have uploaded. Other than that, I'm just looping some gaff tape, double looping it like double-sided tape, putting it onto the butterfly and putting it directly onto the plinths. This does not damage the plinths. It does not damage the butterfly. Immensely reusable tape. So if I don't like it on this butterfly, I could just attach it onto another one. It's not like a glue dot that's forever stuck on that butterfly. So, but you could use whatever you want. I just already had gaff tape, which is why that's what I used. And gaff tape works on sticking it onto the balloons as well as the plinths. This is what they look like. So cute. I've never done these butterflies. The butterflies are a shout out to Parties by Reedy. She is amazing. All of her work is so beautiful. I've linked her down below. She's my true inspiration for this because you guys know I would have never spent the time to cut anything out on a CRICUT, but honestly seeing her work really inspired me and pushed me to think of how I could bring this theme more to life. And I have to say, I really loved it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching. Leave me your comments and questions down below, and make sure to watch on how I price my garland video, this exact garland video, coming up next, link down below. So make sure to check that out. And again, everything that you guys have to be doing for another client, make sure that it's done out of planning and out of love, because like I said, when you don't add the small details of like the orbs or the flowers or the butterflies or the aqua bobo bubbles, no one's saying you have to do all of them, but when you do, it really changes the overall look. As you can see, it just takes it from basic to wow. So thank you guys for joining me. Make sure to check out that next video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.